I need help. 3 words. That's all it took to make every man in that garage go silent. Lily Chen stood in the doorway of the Last Riders Motorcycle Club, 17 years old, and shaking like a leaf. She'd walked miles through Fresno in the dark to get here. Her knuckles were white from gripping her backpack straps. Her eyes were red from crying. And she was staring at 3 bikers who could crush her with one hand. Reese Ghost Callahan looked up from his workbench. He didn't smile, didn't frown, just stared at her with eyes that had seen too much to be shocked by anything. "Help with what?" he asked. Lily's voice cracked. "My stepfather." The air changed. Ace Reed straightened up. Bear Clark set down his tools. Reese's jaw tightened. "What did he do?" Reese asked, voice low and calm. Lily took a breath, then another. She'd practiced this in her head 1,000 times. But now, standing here, the words felt like glass in her throat. "He controls everything," she said. "Every word I say. Every breath I take. I can't live like this anymore." Reese didn't move. "Does he hurt you?" "Not with his hands," Lily whispered. "But I'm scared of him every single day." Ace muttered something under his breath. Bear's fists clenched. Reese's eyes never left Lily's face. "What's his name?" "Victor Kane." The name landed like a punch. Bear's head snapped up. Ace cursed quietly. Reese's expression went dark. "The ex-cop," Reese said. Lily nodded, tears burning her eyes. "He knows everyone. He knows the system. If I go to the police, he'll twist it. He'll make me look crazy. He always does." Reese stepped forward. Not close enough to scare her. Just close enough to let her know she wasn't alone anymore. "You came to the right place," he said quietly. Lily's knees almost gave out. She hadn't expected that. She'd expected questions, doubt, maybe even laughter. But not this. Not belief. "Why are you helping me?" she whispered. Reese's voice was steady. "Because guys like him think they're untouchable, and we don't let that slide." Ace walked toward the back of the garage. "You eat today?" Lily shook her head. "Figured," Ace said. "Sit down. We'll get you something." Bear grabbed a blanket and tossed it onto an old couch in the corner. Reese leaned back against the workbench, arms crossed, studying her. "You're staying here tonight," Reese said. It wasn't a question. Lily's chest tightened. Relief. Fear. Gratitude. All of it crashed into her at once. "What if he comes looking for me?" she asked. Reese's eyes didn't waver. "Let him." Those 2 words sent a chill down her spine. Not from fear, from something else. Something that felt like hope. She sat on the couch, pulling the blanket around her shoulders. Ace brought her a sandwich and water. Bear stayed close, a silent wall between her and the world outside. Reese pulled up a chair across from her. "Tell me everything." Lily swallowed hard. "Where do I even start?" "Start with why you're scared," Reese said. So she did. She told him about the dinners, where Victor would criticize every word she said, about how her mother had stopped looking her in the eye months ago, about the way Victor's voice could fill a room and make her feel like she was drowning, about the night she locked her door and prayed he wouldn't knock. She told him about the time she tried to tell a teacher, and Victor showed up at the school with his badge and his smile, and convinced everyone she was just acting out. About how no one believed her, about how she stopped trying. Reese listened to every word. He didn't interrupt, didn't dismiss her, didn't tell her she was overreacting. When she finished, her voice was hoarse. Her hands were shaking. Reese leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "You're not going back there." Lily's breath caught. "He'll come for me." "I know," Reese said. "And when he does, we'll be ready." Ace crossed his arms. "We've dealt with guys like him before." Bear nodded once. Silent agreement. Lily looked at the three of them. These strangers. These bikers. These men who had no reason to believe her, let alone protect her. And yet here they were. "Why?" she whispered again. "Why do you care?" Reese's expression softened just a little. "Because a long time ago someone helped me when I had nowhere else to go. And I swore I'd do the same for anyone who walked through that door." If you believe that protecting the vulnerable is what real strength looks like, hit that like button and subscribe to The Last Riders. Because what happens next proves that sometimes the most unlikely heroes are the ones society tells you to fear. Let's see how this unfolds. Victor Kane wasn't just dangerous because he was angry. He was dangerous because everyone thought he was a good man. For 15 years, he wore a badge in Fresno. Officer Kane, the guy who helped old ladies, who showed up at school fundraisers with a smile. The man who knew every cop, every judge. When Lily's mother, Maria, met him 3 years ago, she thought she'd found stability. She didn't see the warning signs. Victor had a gift for control. He never yelled in public, never left marks. Instead, he used his voice like a weapon, standing in doorways, talking for hours about how ungrateful, how weak, how lucky she was. And he made sure no one would believe her if she tried to speak up. The night Lily ran, Victor had stood outside her locked door for 2 hours, talking, reminding her she had nowhere to go. But he was wrong. The next morning, Victor showed up at the Last Riders clubhouse. He pounded on the door. When Reese opened it, Victor flashed his badge, even though he'd retired 2 years ago. "I'm looking for my daughter, Lily Chen. I have reason to believe she's here." Reese stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "She's not here." "Mind if I look around?" "Yeah, I do." Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. "I can get a warrant." "Then get one. Until then, you're on private property. And you're leaving." Victor leaned closer, voice dropping. "I know who you are. Reese Callahan, 2 years in Folsom for assault. You think people will believe you over me?" Reese didn't flinch. "I think you should leave before you find out." Victor stepped back, jaw tight. "This isn't over." "Yeah," Reese said. "It is." That afternoon, Reese called Sophia Martinez, the best family lawyer in Fresno. When she heard Lily's story, her expression went cold. "We file for emancipation, document everything, make sure the judge sees Victor Kane for what he really is." The hearing was set for a Tuesday morning. Lily sat at the plaintiff's table, Sophia beside her. Across the aisle, Victor sat with his lawyer. Judge Patricia Reyes presided, known for being tough but fair. Sophia presented the case methodically. Medical records, school counselor testimony, text messages from Victor. Hundreds, each one a weapon of control. Victor's lawyer argued Lily was just a rebellious teenager, that Victor was a concerned parent. Then Lily testified. Walking to the stand, hands shaking, Victor's eyes boring into her. She felt like she was drowning again. "Miss Chen," Sophia said gently, "why did you leave home?" Lily took a breath. "Because I was scared, every single day." "Scared of what?" "Of him. Of his voice. Of the way he made me feel like I was nothing." Victor's lawyer objected. "Your Honor, this is vague. Overruled," Judge Reyes said. "Continue." Lily looked at Reese in the back row. He nodded once, and she told them everything. When she finished, the courtroom was silent. Judge Reyes looked at Victor. "Mr. Kane, anything to say?" Victor stood, voice calm. "Your Honor, I love my stepdaughter. I've done everything." "Mr. Kane," Judge Reyes interrupted. "I've heard enough. Miss Chen, I'm granting your petition for emancipation. You are legally independent. Mr. Kane, you are to have no contact. A restraining order will be filed." The gavel came down. Lily couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Then Ace let out a quiet whoop. Bear nodded, his eyes glistening. Reese just smiled. Victor stood slowly. His lawyer whispered something, but Victor wasn't listening. His eyes were locked on Lily. For a moment, she thought he'd say something, do something. But he didn't. He just turned and walked out. And Lily realized, for the first time in 3 years, he'd lost. Outside the courthouse, the sun was shining. Lily stood on the steps, breathing in fresh air. Reese walked up beside her. "How you feeling?" Lily's voice was soft. "Free." 6 months later, Lily lived in a small apartment above the last rider's garage. It was hers. Every morning, she'd wake to engines warming up below. Coffee. Sunrise. No one told her what to wear, eat, or think. She finished high school online, learned to change brake pads. Bear taught her to ride, a small Honda Rebel. The first time she rode solo, Reese watched. When she pulled back in, grinning, he nodded. "You're a natural." Her mother reached out twice. First, "I'm sorry," Lily replied. "I know." Second, "I left him. I'm in therapy." Lily, "I'm glad you're safe. Maybe we can talk someday." "But not yet." Maria, "Okay." One evening, Lily sat on the roof with Reese, sunset painting the sky. "What comes next?" Reese asked. "I want to study social work, help kids like me." "You'd be good at that." "I still have bad days, days where I hear his voice." "That's normal. Trauma doesn't disappear, but it gets quieter, and you get stronger." "How do you know?" "Because someone pulled me out once, made me promise to keep this place open, for people like you." Lily's chest tightened. "I'm glad you kept that promise." "So am I." That night, the last riders threw a small party in the garage. Nothing fancy, just burgers, music, and family. Reese raised his bottle. To Lily, for having the guts to walk through that door, and for reminding us why we do this. "To Lily," they echoed. Later, as the party wound down, Lily stood outside under the stars. She pulled out her phone and opened the Notes app. She started typing. "To anyone out there who feels trapped, who feels like no one will believe them, who feels like giving up, you're not alone. There are people who will fight for you, who will believe you when no one else does. You just have to be brave enough to ask. Keep going, one day at a time, because you deserve to be free, and freedom is worth fighting for." She saved the note. Maybe one day she'd share it. For now, it was enough to know it was true. Reese stepped outside and stood beside her. "You good?" Lily nodded. "Yeah, I'm good." Reese smiled. "Good, because tomorrow, we're teaching you how to rebuild a transmission." Lily groaned. "Seriously?" "Dead serious." She laughed, and for the first time in her life it felt easy. Natural. Real. If this story touched you, don't leave quietly. Subscribe to The Last Riders and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because in the end, that's what saved Lily. Not just the bikers, not just the lawyer, but the belief that somewhere, somehow, someone would care enough to listen. And they did. Courage starts when someone chooses to believe you. And sometimes, that someone rides a motorcycle. You are not alone.